YouTube. It is Mr. Mean coming at you this fine Wednesday evening at about 6:38 p.m. I just put the little guy to bed. He was yawning and he was tired, and so I put him to bed. Mr. Mean looking a little bedraggled here. I apologize. It was a rough day at work. It was a good day, though. So the little guy's in bed, and I thought that I would address a question that several people have asked, but most recently, Narmuzz, I hope I'm saying that right, Narmuzz, M-U-Z-Z, he asked the poignant question of why I dislike D&D 5th edition. And I wanted to set the record straight and maybe, talk about it a little bit and why I think it's not the best system out there. Not that it's not a good system, because I do believe it's a good system. When I say I don't like D&D, well, first let's get some housekeeping out of the way. Let's get this done right. First, kudos and thank you to all 528 subscribers. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Without you, there would be no me. As always, like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be dinged when I dong. You'll be notified when I post a video. I try to post at least one video a week, but tonight's just an exception. I had some free time, and the kid was tired, and so I put him in bed. He's already asleep. I put him in bed like 5 minutes ago. So I'm on ZellyPay. If you bank here in the U.S., it's most likely on your phone and your mobile app, and you can donate to the channel that way. Please rest assured that any money that gets sent to me goes back into the channel, because I'm working now. Money's still tight because unfortunately my wife was unable to work, and a kid in daycare is super expensive. But I try to put that money that's sent to me back into the channel to buy cool games and stuff like that. So as always, like I said, like and subscribe. ZellyPay, you can go to PayPal, Pay Me. There's a link on my YouTube channel on the right hand side there on my channel logo. Let's see what else. So like I said, a huge shout out to Narmuzz. He posted a comment on my Strongholds and Followers book, and I again had to mention why I don't particularly care for D&D, even though I'm currently running a Midgard session, which is going swimmingly well, and I am having tons of fun. So, Dungeons and Dragons. What do I dislike about it? There's a lot of things I dislike about it. There's a lot of things I like about it. One of my the biggest thing I like is the ease of play. Everybody knows how to play this nowadays. This is so mainstream now. It is almost a household word, thanks to Critical Role, Matt Colville, and all the various Twitch streamers and everybody that, uploads and broadcasts their game sessions. D&D is mainstream now. It's Coca-Cola of role-playing games. When you say, oh, I play D&D, most people, if they're under the age of 50, they go, oh, and they know roughly what you're talking about. They may not know exactly, but they have a clue, either through Big Bang Theory or various TV shows, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, and of course, Critical Role and Matt Colville's The Chain. Let's go over what I like first, and then we'll jump into what I dislike, and then what I think is alternatively better systems. But your mileage may differ. Remember, this is Mr. Mean's opinion. I'm Mr. Mean Speaks, so I'm speaking. What I like about it, I love the art. All of the books have a consistent theme with art. If you've watched any number of my videos, that's one of the biggest things, the pet peeves, the things I harp on is consistent art. Art that sets a mood, sets a theme, sets a flavor. That's very important to me. And I think WotC with Dungeons and Dragons has it nailed. They know exactly what they're doing. They have top-notch artists, and of course they have the budget to afford it. What else do I like? I like page layout. I like the layout of the book. I like, we get some cool art, but we also get very consistent page layout. There's an index, there's a table of contents, and it's easy to find stuff. It's easy to navigate, and it's very well laid out. It's very well done. The book quality is usually pretty good. I haven't heard too many internet gripes about my book fell apart. I've really never heard that about any WotC product. either when they were whaaaa by themselves or now that they're owned by Hasbro. I still haven't heard of the book quality, the spinding, the cardboard they use. This is the collector's edition, so it has kind of a slightly metallic cover. I wish I would have got the alternate covers, but I don't have the money to switch it out. But I wish I did, because while I love these metallic covers, and this is the latest printing, this is October of 2018, so this is the most up-to-date printing of the books you can get if you buy those, either one of the collector sets, either the metallic covers or the alternative covers, which are amazing. Matt Mercer has them. If watch Critical Role, you'll see Matt's on there, and you can also go to they sell them on Amazon. The prices are starting to creep up because they're not readily available. I had an opportunity to buy it, but I think they were down to like $135, and that included free shipping, and I didn't have the money at the time. So, well, I was able to get these for, I think I got these a little bit over $100 for all 3 books in a slipcase. And like I said, slightly metallic cover. You can kind of see it a little bit easier on the back there with the wording. And it's really well done. So I'm very happy. My players don't get to touch these books. These are mine. Only my greasy paws go on them. And I love them. I think the layout of the book, it's easy to find stuff. The art is solid. All 3 books are pretty good. As far as like mechanics and gameplay, I give it a 6 out of 10. It's easy to learn. They're pretty concise. They're pretty clear. Like I said, they cleaned up a lot of stuff in here from the various printings that are currently out. So, like, as far as I know, this is the most up-to-date printing you can get, unless you download it off the internet, off of whaaa's website. But that would only be the SRD. I believe you can buy the PDFs of these now, the full book. You can purchase them, and those may be updated with more current information, as opposed to errata and spelling errors, but I haven't found too many in here. So very happy with these. Let's see, what else do I like about it? Well, I like the like I said, I already went over the layout, but the font they choose, the colors they choose are kind of a little bit muted, not very vibrant. It doesn't like slam you in the face with this super colorful art. I like that. It doesn't hurt these old eyes to look at it. Mechanics wise, they're good mechanics. They're functional. I think there are better mechanics out there, especially to run fantasy. I was pleasantly surprised with Esper Genesis by Alligator Alley Games. They did a sci-fi variant using 5th edition rules. Super easy to pick up, but again, 5th edition rules, and I'm always touting how I don't really like them, but man, I love Esper Genesis. I think it's pretty solid. I also backed Carbon 2185, which I'll be doing a review of that as soon as I get the physical book. I just got the finished PDF, but I'm waiting to do a review of the physical book. And that seems to be really well done as well. But I gotta say, Esper Genesis, as far as for a sci-fi setting using 5th edition, I think it's probably one of the best ones out there, if not the best. I think Carbon 2185 is gonna take the bell for best cyberpunk or near sci-fi setting, but I think Esper Genesis right now has it locked. It's so far removed from 5th edition, but yet it's still 5th edition. It retains that flavor when the mechanics work, but everything's named differently. Whereas I feel Pathfinder and Starfinder are the same game. It's just in space. I don't feel that there was enough differentiated between the 2 genres to make it feel like anything special. I feel Esper Genesis, while it is 5th edition and it has its own rules that are based on the SRD, it is different enough that you feel like you're playing a different game, but a familiar game. So as far as sci-fi goes, I'm totally on board with Esper Genesis and near sci-fi cyberpunk Carbon 2185. Both of those, I think, are solid renditions of using the 5th edition rules, and I feel very confident in running either one of those games, and I feel like players will enjoy it. So if I'm not a big fan of, well, let's get to what I dislike. I dislike the generic fantasy feel. When we had 3.0, 3.5, we had Forgotten Realms, we had Greyhawk, we had Eberron. And I don't understand why whaaaaa has not thrown out a 5th edition Eberron book. It's one of their best-selling titles ever. It still sells the 3.5 PDFs still sell on DriveThruRPG. People were the Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron, I think it was. It was a PDF. I'm not even sure if it made it as a physical book. Was met with derision and a lot of, hey, this is crap. Don't buy it. And I didn't buy it because I listened to a lot of the reviews that I looked at online, fellow YouTubers, and I was sorely disappointed with what I saw. And so I passed it. And Eberron is my favorite D&D setting. And if they put out a 5th edition Eberron setting, I would probably vastly change my opinion of D&D, and it would probably become one of my top fantasy go-to systems, because the Eberron world is phenomenal. And I have stolen the Eberron world and run it in Savage Worlds, and it works just fine. So so the generic of this is just, I know they've got, is it Faerun, I believe, with their Neverwinter and all that, and they've Sword Coast, the book they've come out with, but that was a small book. The other big pet peeve I have with whaaaa and their books is the cost. Each one of these books is over right at 50 or over. So to get all 3 books, which if you're a game master, you need all 3 books, it's $150 plus bucks. That's a lot of money to invest in a tabletop RPG. And that's one of the biggest letdowns for me. The other thing that I really don't like is I don't like their character sheet. Whatever reason, it grates on me, and I don't know why. It's the aesthetics of it and the way. Everything's laid out, everything's there that you need, and I don't really hear anybody play. I've been on a quest to find the ultimate character sheet, and to be honest, I think my best one is on Hero Lab. I like how Hero Lab puts it all in there. Hero Lab I think is a $35 or $39 program. It's well supported for other game systems as well as D&D. You can download the SRD. You can buy some other books. There are some fan-made products that you can download and import. And, that'll give you all the various other D&D stuff. And that's handily dandly and great. But I don't know. Their character sheets have always annoyed me for 5th edition. There's a couple good ones out there. If you go to EN World, you can find some good ones. DriveThruRPG and the DM's Guild have some good ones as well. But I've yet to find one that just goes, wow, this is the catch-all sheet for me. I will say the Midgard character sheet's pretty good. But again, I'm not the player, I'm the GM, so it's not a huge concern for me. I very rarely get to play D&D. I'm usually the GM, and the reason I play D&D is because I live in a relatively small town, and it's the most popular game. I can say, hey guys, let's play the Dark Eye, and nobody knows what I'm talking about. And so it's hard to get traction to get a gaming group to try these little known or lesser known games that aren't necessarily a household name like Dungeons and Dragons. So while I commonly say I dislike D&D or it's not my favorite, that kind of is a misnomer, and I'm doing you guys and myself a disservice, because Jesus, I'm running a copy of it right now. I'm running Midgard, which is a 5e game set in the Midgard world. So I think what I should say is I don't prefer the world of Dungeons and Dragons. If they came out with an Eberron setting, I would probably use that, and I'm just too lazy to convert the 3.5 to 5th edition. I know I could. I know there's a lot of monsters. I know there's Warforged out there, but it's just more money that I would have to spend, and I'm at that point where I don't want to spend it. So I think it's more of a me. It's the typical the girlfriend breaking up with you. It's not you, it's me. So do I think 5th edition is a bad game? Hell no. I'm running it, for Christ's sake. So no, it's not a bad game, and I am enjoying myself. Now, that being said, I have phenomenal players. I have 5 players that are enthusiastic, really coming out of their shell, starting to play. We're 3rd level. They're hopefully, after this week's session, they might pop up to 4th level, and then their progression is going to slow way down. So if any of my players are watching this, you'll know what's coming up. But hopefully, if they get through all of Friday night's things that I have planned, they should hopefully hit 4th level, and then after that, their progression. We use a storytelling progression. I don't use the XP route, because then I think it boils down to we got to kill all the monsters to get the XP, and it's not. I want it to be about story, and some of the characters' backgrounds are unfolding quite nicely. And I'm very happy. But that can go for any role-playing game. If you have good players, the story will tell itself. And my players are good players. So I'm very fortunate, and I'm very grateful to have those guys as my players. So thank you to my players for those guys that are watching. So I do like D&D. I don't like the setting, I think. I don't like the character sheet. I don't like the price point. So those are some pet peeves of mine. They're throwing out books. I think they're much better at controlling the flow of information in 5th edition. So that's another caveat on the plus side. They're not spamming you with books every month. They're doing a really good job of it, and keeping you just hungry enough to want more. And then there's the tertiary publishers like Kobold Press. I've bought pretty much everything for Midgard, and I got to say I'm loving everything I read, and I'm very happy. If you want a really good setting, pick up the Hero's Handbook for Midgard and the World Book if you're going to be a GM, and that's all you need to buy. Now, I bought both of the monster manuals just because they're phenomenal, and you can't go wrong with them. If you're running a regular D&D game, they'll be amazing. So those are kind of the things. That's where I'm at with D&D. It's a love-hate relationship. You know, I love the days of 3.5, but there was such a glut of information and books, and you know, you had to be damn near a millionaire to keep up with everything. But I do think it's a good system. I don't want to bash on it too much. I don't want people to think, oh God, I detest this system, because like I said, I'm currently running a Midgard, and we're into our 4th session, I think. I think this Friday is our 5th session, third session with all 5 players, but it's I think our 4th or 5th session total, because we started with only, I think, 2 or 3 players. But anyway, so Narmas and all my other viewers that have commented over the last couple of videos, you know, why do you hate D&D, or why do you dislike? I shouldn't say hate. Why do you dislike D&D? That's kind of why. I think the price point's too high for what you get. These guys kind of set the bar. So if these guys are charging 50 plus for a book, the little guys are going to charge 50 plus for a book. I mean, as much as I rag on Palladium books, their books are very reasonably priced. Now, typically they are black and white, but they're types. I mean, they're laid out well. You got to give them that. The art is good in them. You know, it's just black and white. This is full color. I know full color art cost more. You know, so I get the justification for the price, but how about less full color art, more black and white, and drop the price point $10, $40 for a book this big? I think is an acceptable cost. I think a book this big with the art in it at $40 is still an acceptable cost. I think $50 per book is just too much for what you're getting here, especially if you're new and you're getting into it. Now, if you're just going to be a player, this is all you need. You can get away with just this and maybe whatever specific world book your GM is using, you know, but you can get away with just this, and you can play D&D just fine. But that being said, you know, you have to think, well, Mr. Mean, if you don't think this is the best fantasy setting, what do you think is the best fantasy setting? Well, I went to the library and I picked my 3 favorite. And these are my favorites for various reasons. And so I'm gonna kind of go through them. Again, D&D is a fine system, and I like it a lot, but I think these systems are better for various reasons. They're also worse for various reasons. So again, it falls into the same category. These just happen to be my preferences of what I think is a better game system. So I'm going to start with my and these are in no way, shape, in order of, you know, best to least, or least to best, or favorite to least favorite. They're just 3 systems that I like for various reasons that I think are just as good and maybe slightly better than D&D, in my opinion. So my first one is my longtime favorite. I've been playing it the longest, Savage Worlds. I have the newer edition up there. I don't have Suede yet. I'm waiting for the book to be released. I didn't have the money to do the Kickstarter for the Savage Worlds Adventure Engine, I think is what they're calling it, Suede. This is the original. This is the latest. Well, there's another book after this, which is hardback, which is slightly updated, but this book still works. This one was $10. So this is the winner of the 2003 NE People's Choice Award, Origin Award. So it wasn't NE, it was Origins. This is 160 pages, well, 159 pages, and you don't need to buy anything else. So if you're a gamer on a budget and you have a deck of cards and poker chips, which almost everybody has that, or little glass beads if you're, you know, a long-time vampire or jihad player or werewolf player or any kind of collectible card game. You probably got glass beads. Or if you have a fish tank, you've got glass beads. I mean, let's face it. So there's, and you can buy those at the dollar store. You can get a bag of like, I don't know, 100 for $1 of glass beads, and you can get them all in a single color. So you get away with those, you know, or poker chips that you can buy also at the dollar store dirt cheap, or at a flea market or whatever, and a deck of cards you can get from the game store. Now they have their proprietary items that you can go on, you know, pinnacleentertainment.com or PIG, Pinnacle Entertainment Games, peginc.com, I believe is their website. Let's see if it's on here. It's Pinnacle Entertainment Group, but it's I think it's peginc.com. But anyway, just do a search for Savage Worlds and you'll pull up Pinnacle. Shane Lacey Hensley, Sean Patrick Fannin is a big contributor to this and was a big contributor in the beginning. Tons of people have worked on this that are in the Ross, Robin Elliott, Simon Lucas, Paul Wade Wiggy, Dave Bluer, Evil Mike, Chaos Steve. I mean, Jody Black. Tons of people have been in and out of the PEG studios. This game has stood the test of time. It is a great system. It's easy to learn, fast to pick up. Initiative is a card-based system. You know, off of a standard deck of playing cards. You can buy their proprietary deck, but it's an easy system to learn. You can belt out characters in literally 15 minutes. What's not to like? It has a very succinct character sheet. There's tons of variations on there. I don't think there's a character sheet in this one. I think you have to go, you have to go to the website and download it. But there's a whole bunch of NPCs and monsters and critters and bad guys in here. So you literally do not need to buy anything else. This is all you need, and you can run any genre you want. Now, they do make splat books. They make a sci-fi compendium. They make a horror compendium. They make a fantasy compendium. You can run whatever genre of game you want from this. I think it does really well with fantasy, and I think it does really well with sci-fi. Supers, it's a little bit hard, but they have a Supers compendium, so that helps. They have their own setting called Necessary Evil, which is a phenomenal setting. There's tons of different settings and third-party publishers to make stuff. Paul Wade Wiggy created his company called Tag, and Triple Ace Games, and they have their Hellfrost setting. So if you love Vikings and you love fantasy, it's my go-to fantasy setting. If I'm gonna run Savage Worlds, I'm gonna run Hellfrost because it's an awesome game system, and there's a ton of stuff out there for it, and it's really well done. So that's one. That's a good alternative. So if you say, man, I don't have $150. You can buy this PDF online, I think, for $20 now. It'll be the new Suede edition, the new rules. They just did a very successful Kickstarter, and so there's a new edition. So you might be able to find this in a used bookstore, and these rules will work. They're still applicable. They still work. All of these source books that are out are relatively inexpensive, and it will work. So really good setting. Poker chips or little gaming beads, or hell, you can use toothpicks, pennies, whatever you have laying around to use for bennies. This game uses what they call bennies. Really good setting. Check it out. So my next system that I think is probably real close up there to my top is Green Ronin's Fantasy Age. This is another generic book. There's no world setting information in here. There are some splat books. There's a bestiary. There's a GM screen that you can buy. I highly recommend it because that GM screen is a lot of bang for its buck. It comes with an initiative tracker. It comes with a bunch of these heavy card handouts for your stunts. This is a 3D6 game. You'll hear me on my channel scream, I hate D6 games. It's one of my favorite games, and it uses 3D6. If you were a video game fan and you know Dragon Age, the video game, that's where this came from. They created the Age system, game mechanic, adventure game engine. And that's what powered Dragon Age, the video game, and it's fully compatible. Takes place during the video games, and BioWare came to them and said, hey, we want to make a role-playing game, and Chris Pramas said, I've got an engine. He was working on it. Boom, it was magic, and it's great. You can see right up there those two boxes. Those two boxes right there are the Dragon Age box sets. So you can still find those. You can still buy those off of greenronin.com. You can buy them as PDFs. And, of course, this book, I think this is $30, $29.95. You can get it cheaper on Amazon, probably a couple bucks cheaper, and probably get it close to $20. Miniature Market might have it. Game Nerds, those are two of my favorite sites to go save a buck. Drive-Thru RPG, I think you can get it for $20 or maybe $15 as a PDF directly from Green Ronin through Drive-Thru, or you can buy it on Green Ronin's site. One of the cool things Green Ronin does when they release a new book, if you pre-order it for $5 more, you get a free copy of the PDF. So you get access to the book right away, and then when it's physically released, it'll show up on your doorstep, and you'll have a hard copy of it. And I'm a big fan of that. I like what they do. I think, me personally, I think their PDF costs are a little high. I think this book is $30, and if you buy the PDF, it's $20. So you're getting a $10 difference, So, and I don't know, that might be a marketing thing. They might say, well, it's only $10 more to get the hardback, and then spend another $5 and get the PDF. So they're kind of getting an extra $15 out of you, but you're getting a hardback or a hard copy and the PDF. So I guess it's kind of fair. I just think the PDF price is a little steep. That's my opinion. Your mileage may vary. I pinch pennies, so for me, if I can find it on sale somewhere for $15 versus 19 or 20, I'm going to buy the 15. But great system, easy to learn, easy to pick up. Character creation's a little involved, but not hard. If you take your time and you put some thought behind your characters or into your characters, you'll have very viable characters. No two characters will be the same unless they pick the exact same things, which can happen. But there's a lot of flavor in here, a lot of thematic issues that you can take, and it's very well supported for the most part. Green Ronin has a very slow release process, but they do release new product. And like I said, there's a bestiary. You don't have to buy it. There's a number of critters and adversaries in here. If you have the Dragon Age books, you can use those. There's some nuances that you have to convert, but it's not hard. And they're very well supported on the web. On any of these games, you can go to MeWe.com, sign up. It's like Facebook if you don't know about it. And what I like about it is you only see the feeds of what you want to see. So a shameless plug for MeWe, but one of the nice things is, if you want to join the Fantasy Age group, you're only going to see posts. If you don't join anything else on MeWe, you're only going to see posts about Fantasy Age, and you'll be able to, you can, just like Facebook, you can upload pictures, you can have a files section, you can download files. So there's a lot of interaction. It kind of took the place of a lot of G+. When G+ went away, a lot of people that were running those G+ groups, myself included, switched over to MeWe. And I've been very happy with MeWe. I've been off Facebook for almost a year now, and I couldn't be happier. I just don't like the toxicity and all the ads and all the crap that goes on. I just don't want to see it. In MeWe, you only see what you want to see, and people can follow you only if you allow them to. So you don't ever have to allow anybody, and you can just join a group, and you don't have to see anybody. So this is another good one. Very well supported, in my opinion. The forums are pretty active. Like I said, the MeWe group is active, and it's a good game. And it's very generic. Again, another, like Savage Worlds, very generic setting. You have to make your own world. I one time ran this at a con about 2 years ago, and we did an hour of character building or world building. One of the players wanted to play a dwarf. I was like, okay, so you're a dwarf. Who do the dwarves worship? Who's the main god? And we had a big grease board, and so we wrote everything down. And man, probably one of the best sessions I've ran in a long time. It was very immersive. I had 6 players, I think, 6 or 7 players. 3 of them had never played a role-playing game ever in their life. So it was a lot of fun. They had a great blast. In fact, the young lady that had never played a game before, she went out and bought the book. I saw her the next day at the con, and she's like, oh, look. And she pulled out the Fantasy Age book, and she said, I love the book, and so that's kudos to me. I did my job as a GM to entice a player to spend money in the dealer's room, but I gave them joy, and that's what means a lot to me. And she had a blast. So that's awesome. And a side fact, I'm also an authorized GM for Green Ronin. I can run all their games. So, and I can go to conventions and run their game, and I get support and stuff like that. So it's very cool. The third, but definitely not the last, nor the least, and it's quickly edging out Savage Worlds and Fantasy Age. I've been in love with this game for years. Some of my earliest videos on my channel are of this game, and it's one of my fondest memories of Gen Con. I believe it was 1996. The Dark Eye by Ulysses Spiel. It's a German-based company. This is Germany's version of D&D. It is 30 years old, and this has probably, in my opinion, the best community in the world. The German and European community is amazing. You can go to Ulysses Spiel North America, just do a search for the Dark Eye RPG, and you'll find their forums, and just go in there and sign up. If you're curious about a game, if you like crunch in your game, if you like the crunch that's in D&D and you want a little bit more, but you don't want it to be super math heavy, you just want that crunch, those rules, this is a great game. Very well supported. They do Kickstarters, 2 or 3 a year. They're reasonably priced. This book is $20. This is their digest size. It is the exact same thing as the hardback that is down there on the very bottom shelf. You probably can't see it because my big fat head is in the way. This is 414 pages, includes a character sheet. And this is everything that's in the core rulebook. You can see I've got mine. I've got some bookmarks and stuff because I run this game at conventions. I run it for friends. This is not a pick up and game in 15 minutes unless you're using pre-gens. And even then, it's going to take you a minimum of 15 minutes to 45 minutes to explain the rules. I find it's best to just dive in, and players will pick it up. It is a rather complex system, but it's one of those systems that I find extremely rewarding, even as a GM. But for the players, the game mechanics, when you're trying to do a skill check, you'll take your whatever the skill is, and every skill falls into 3 attribute categories, and so you'll have to roll all 3 of those dice. So it could be intelligence, sagacity, and coordination or courage, let's just say. And so each one of those dice, each one of those attributes will have a numerical value. Usually around anywhere from 8 to 15, maybe a little higher. Very rarely though, but somewhere right around there. As you build it's a point by character system, so you have full control over how you make your character. They do have guidelines. You can only have so low of a number. You can only have so high of a number, and then your skills are based off of your attributes. And so you roll 3d20. So in each d20. Relates to one of those attributes that your skill for the skill you're trying to use. So I think a good one is I believe it's lockpicking is, I think, sagacity, and intelligence, or dexterity. Dexterity, sagacity, and sagacity, or sagacity. I can't say it. But anyway, you would roll those 3 numbers. So say you had a 15 in intelligence and you had a 13 in sagacity, but sagacity is listed twice, so you have to roll it twice. You have to roll below those values on those dice. And if you roll above whatever the numerical value is in your skill, that becomes like knowledge points, and you can use those points. So say my lockpicking is a 7, and I roll my intelligence or my dexterity is a 15 and I roll a 17. I can take 2 points from that 7, drop it down to 5, and now I've reduced my 17 to a 15. That's a success. So I set that die aside. So now I do my sagacity, say it's at a 13, and I roll a 9. Oh, okay, that's a success. I roll off to the side. But then I roll it again and I get a 17. And remember, I only have a 13 in sagacity, so that's 4 points. I only have 5 left in my skill, but I still succeeded, so I can spend those 4. However many points you have left in that skill, so in my case, I only have 1, that is your level of success or your degrees of success. And so that determines how well you did. And I know it sounds very complicated when you explain it, but let me tell you, I have run this game a number of times, and every time those players roll, and most players like to roll one die at a time. A lot will roll all three. If I'm running an NPC, I'll roll all three. Or if I'm playing, I'll roll all three. It all depends. Everybody has their own method. But what's nice is there is such a sense of accomplishment when all three of those dice come up and you make it, or you're able to spend your skill points. And by the way, those skill points refresh immediately after. So you don't really burn them. You're just subtracting from them, and that gives you your level of success, or your degrees of success, or your degrees of failure if you fail. And so it can be extremely rewarding as a role player to be in that clutch situation as a player, and you roll those dice and you make it. And that last D20 hits the table and it's a 6 and you needed 12 or less. You're like, yeah, and it keeps a lot of people interested. I mean, you're going to have your players that are going to be their nose buried in their phone because that's just how they are. But most players get involved in it and are like, oh my god, that was cool. Nah. Combat is resolved with a single D20. And then you have your damage dice, which is usually a D6, but there sometimes are D10s used for some of the heavy weapons. But combat runs pretty fast, and it is pretty deadly. One of the things in this game that they talk about that I really like is don't try to do a fireball and kill everybody, or kill the big bad orc that's trying to kill you. Instead, set his hair on fire, because that's a faster spell. And it's going to distract him, and he's going to have negatives to his attack roll, so he'll most likely miss. Then your fighter can get in there and pound him. It is very much I don't want to make it sound too much like a thinking man's game, but it is. You need to use a little bit of strategy, a little bit of tactics. Ranged combat is the winner. Just like in Savage Worlds, ranged combat is far deadlier, or magic is far deadlier than physical combat, but physical combat is deadly because if you get a solid hit, you can lop off arms. I mean, it's a very violent world that they live in. But the flip side is an armed society is a polite society. So if you're carrying a weapon, you're expected to use it. And it's a very detailed world. There is so much information in this book. There's map packs. It's very well supported as far as physical products go. I can't recommend it enough. So if you like a little more detailed world and you want a little bit of a crunchier system, maybe a little more in depth than D&D, this is one you should look at. This has got 30 years of history behind it. They actively seek out the community's advice. They will post a precursor to the rules or a draft and say, guys, tear it apart, tell us what you think. When they brought this game over to the US for this new edition, this third edition, that's what they did. They put the rules out there for the community and said, we're going to go to Kickstarter, at this time, so get your feedback in. And amazing feedback came in, and you can read all about it on the Kickstarter page. Like I said, I've backed every one of their Kickstarters except the very first one. And in fact, I had bought the rule book on my own, did a review, and then the guys from Ulysses Spiel North America sent me all the PDFs to thank me for doing the review of their game. So this is highly one of my all-time favorite games. I love this, and I'm hoping to get this on the table with my current group. The problem is I'm going to admit right now, I have gamer ADD. You can tell by the amount of books I have. I love my books, and I love all different kinds of game systems. I truly believe there is not too many, I shouldn't say, because there are a few. There's not too many bad games. There's only bad GMs. And then again, bad GMs just means unprepared or lacking in experience. Everybody, I think, has the potential to be a great GM, and that just takes effort and time, and that's all it takes. My players are loving, the game, but I'm going to have off nights. I'm going to have nights where I'm really tired, or it's been a rough week, and I'm just not going to have the enthusiasm. I try to do voices for all my characters. I am in no way, shape, or form a Matt Mercer, but I try to give all my NPCs a distinctive feel, no matter what game I'm running. And so, yeah, so that's kind of what I think, guys. That's my opinion on the different RPGs. And what I like. I'm going to stop saying I hate D&D or I don't like it. I'm just going to say it's not my game system of choice. I'm enjoying running Midgard. I really am. I love the world. I love the setting. Wolfgang Bauer and all those guys Dan Dillon have put up a phenomenal game system using the world's oldest fantasy game. So I think they've done it. But if you really want to look at something different, or you want to get your teeth into it, if you're the local GM for your group and you're only playing D&D, hey, if you're having fun, that's all that matters. But if you talk to your players and you say, hey guys, I'm thinking about running something different, what do you guys think? And they're like, oh no, we don't want to play, we only want to play D&D. Well, then there you have your answer. Don't waste your money on buying something else that you're never going to get to run, or else you end up like this. And then you can start doing videos with me. Hey, but no, really, in all sincerity, unless you just like to read or you want to try something different, like I said, you can get this off of Amazon for $20, and probably find it even cheaper now. Because it's been out for a while, and this is the digest size, and it's actually not hard to read. I don't have my glasses on right now or my contacts in, and I can read this just fine. So it is small font, and I mean, it's going to tax your eyes after a while, especially if you're old like me. But you don't have to read it cover to cover. It does a real job, and they tell you, read this section, introduce some of the rules. I mean, D&D does the same thing. Don't use all the rules, just insert them as time goes on and as you become more familiar with the game. And that's any role-playing game, because what it boils down to at the end of the day is, are you having fun? Is your group having fun? And that's really what it boils down to. And I have gamer ADD, which means I burn out on a game pretty quick. I usually get about 3 sessions in and I'm ready to run something different. Part of that is because I review a lot of games and I buy a lot of different games. So I'm exposed to a lot of games. There's a lot of people out there that have never played anything else but Pathfinder, because that's all they need. And that's perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. But then for every one of them, there's one of me, and has a bookshelf like this. So I love my gaming library. I wish I had more bookshelves, and I will get more bookshelves, but this is not going to be my permanent home. I'm here for maybe another year, and then I hope to plan to buy a house, hopefully in Wisconsin somewhere, and I'll have a gaming library where it can be full of bookshelves, and I can display all of my stuff and all my posters and everything. But that's neither here nor there. I wanted to do this video because a lot of people had been asking about it, and it was just the perfect time. I had the time. And I wanted to get it out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have questions of any of these game systems that I've shown you, please put a note down in the doobly-doo, and I will do my best to answer it. You can go on Amazon and find all these games, and get them in 2 days or a day. If you're a Prime member, Amazon now is trying to do for Prime members, they're trying to give them a little bit more, because whether you know it or not, anybody can get the Prime 2-day free shipping. If it's over, I think, $30 or $40, you get free 2-day shipping to start with. So you might as well take advantage of it. And if you have a Prime membership, a lot of stuff now they're doing in 1 day. So I ordered some stuff on a Friday late afternoon, and I got it Saturday night at my front door. So that was crazy. So yeah, so just be aware the stuff is out there. So in recap, I do love D&D. I love the Midgard setting. I love Esper Genesis. I feel very strongly about Carbon 2185. I think it's going to be an excellent system. So I need to stop saying I hate D&D. I need to say it's just not my system of choice. But I have a group that really only knows D&D. They haven't really played a whole lot of other games, but I'm hoping to expose them to more games. So once we get a couple sessions into this, maybe once we hit like 10th level, I'll say, hey guys, why don't we take a break for this and let's play this. And I'll probably go to something sci-fi or maybe Carbon 2185, because it's still along the lines of D&D, still uses the same base mechanic, it's just a different world. I might even run Esper Genesis. I might run Dark Age. I don't know. I mean, the choices are out there. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. And like I said, what's your thoughts? What's your opinion? What do you like or dislike about D&D or any of these systems that I poked out there? Again, if you want to see a review of something, feel free to send me a copy. You can always reach me at jpolak@gmail.com, or you can message me through YouTube. I'm on MeWe. I'm also on Discord a lot. I can't be on Discord at work. Unfortunately, it's social media stuff is not allowed at work. So I can't have my Discord live. Security will shut us down, and even though I'm senior IT guy, I can't buck the rules. I got to follow the rules as well, and I'm just very happy to have a very good job. So it's been a long time coming, and I'm very happy with my job, and my coworkers are awesome. So I'm really looking forward to every day going to work is a blessing, and I'm very excited to have a good job. So and take care of my family. So I hope that answers the question. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them down in the doobly-doo. And that's it for this video. So as always, like and subscribe. Thanks a lot. Peace and hair grease. And remember, Mr. Mean says be nice.